Welcome to the Sleepy G Show. I'm your host with your most. My name is Gomez, and today, like any other day at the Sleepy G Show, I do have a special guest. I do have a Major League Baseball player here in the house today. He is in the 2004 drafted first round, 21st overall by the Philadelphia Phillies. And then we'll go on with the other teams and the list of teams, but we're going to start off with the Philadelphia Phillies. But let me introduce Greg Golson. Greg, how are you today?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing excellent. I really appreciate you taking the time. I know you're a busy man. We're going to say this now. We know, as you can see, as I'm wearing the hat that represents the team who you are now with, the LA Dodgers as a pro scout. How is that, first of all, to be with the LA Dodgers? And as a scout now, you know what I mean? How is that?
I mean, it's awesome. You look at the teams that I've been with my career. I've been with a lot of story teams, but I
Mhm.
feel like the Dodgers are one where it's like, with the whole move from Brooklyn to LA, and then setting up like a whole new part of the league on the West Coast. There's so much history with the Dodgers,
Mhm.
and it's just a completely different. I don't know how to explain it. Like there's this type of way that the Yankees and Phillies and the East Coast carries itself,
Right.
and then there's the West Coast. So it was a complete switch up for me. Having my whole career being spent on the East Coast and then going out here, and just seeing how it's kind of more of a laid back kind of demeanor, I guess, for the organization in general. Just this kind of a West Coast feel, but they take care of you. Like they've got a lot of resources, and obviously we've got a ton of quality players, so it's cool to be able to contribute to a team that's got a chance every year.
Yeah, and I will say this. I will say I am a Yankees fan. As a New Yorker, I will say I like the Phillies because I love their old school
Yeah,
uniforms.
yeah.
And then I've been a Dodgers fan for a long time too. The three teams that I truly do love. Everyone goes, "Well, you're a Yankee fan." I go, "Yes." But ever since Jeter retired, I don't follow baseball as much as I used to.
Yeah.
You know what I
Hmm.
mean? I feel like baseball has changed dramatically, but that's something we could talk in a little bit. Um, so let's transform back. I love the fact that you're working for LA.
Hmm.
That's got to be pretty cool though to walk into Dodger Stadium and kind of see the history, the banners. When you're talking Tommy Lasorda, you're talking some of the big
Yeah.
names, Piazza that was there. It's that's got to be a really cool feeling to walk through those halls too, a little bit to see where these guys played and where they managed, and just to walk on the field has to be an amazing feel, I have to say.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you look at like I got hired in 2020, and that was the year we won. But I mean, you look at every lineup that we throw out there, there's there's arguably multiple Hall of Famers in the
Oh
lineup.
yeah, every
And this
year.
goes back to, when I got drafted in 2004. Like
Hmm.
for so long the Dodgers have had such great talent that I think one of the things that I feel like the Dodgers are not known for, but I feel like it happens a few times, with like Muncy,
Yes.
Chris Taylor, Tyler Anderson, like these guys where we get them from other clubs, and they put on Dodger uniforms, and we try to get a little bit more out of them than they were. The Yankees do the same thing
Hmm.
sometimes. The Phillies have been doing it with Lorenzen and other guys. So
Yep.
I feel like sometimes the uniform can kind of make the player a superhero. And that's
Yeah.
what I kind of like about, with the Dodgers, because it's like guys kind of step their game up if they've got that dog in them. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Well, I think when you talk about baseball history, like and there was never such thing as an original six like hockey, but when
Hmm.
you when you talk about Brooklyn, you automatically think Dodgers, and now you think LA Dodgers, the New York ties,
Hmm.
with the Dodgers and the Yankees coming up and the Mets and everything. There's true history when it comes to baseball.
Yeah.
You're talking LA Dodgers, aka Brooklyn Dodgers. Everybody knows who that is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Growing up, I always thought the Dodgers were Brooklyn when I was a kid. I never knew they got moved to LA, and then
Yeah.
I became a Yankee fan all of a sudden with my pops teaching me,
Hmm.
and Mr. Steinbrenner, the
Yeah.
father, learning how he was the boss and who he was. But we're gonna actually flash back 2004, first round, 21st pick of the Philadelphia Phillies.
Mhm.
I have to ask, when you're in the draft. Now I know you're probably like the second person I've ever talked to in my entire life about draft in the MLB, because I had actually had a friend of mine back in '98. Lou Weeben got drafted by the Cleveland Indians.
Mhm.
He was a left-handed pitcher, and for me, it was exciting because I actually knew him. He was in my graduating class, so it was kind of cool to see he got picked.
Right.
Should have been a Yankee, but that's another thing. But tell me your feelings when you were going through the draft process and everything at that time in 2004.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a whirlwind. You're 17, 18 years old, and it's all like a goal and a dream.
Mm,
So when it actually starts happening and you're actually getting attention from on the national scene as like a possible first rounder or possible top 10 pick, that it's definitely a confidence boost, but it kind of it's not I don't know how to say this, but it's like it's not real. You know what I
right.
mean?
No, it's like you're dreaming.
Yeah, it's just like it's a whirlwind type experience. You've got agents that are making house calls and coming into your house. You know, I remember I went to there's a restaurant in Austin where I
Hmm.
grew up called Wings and More. And
Ah,
me and my best friend would always go eat at Wings and More just because it was like a cheaper wing spot that was close to the hotel, and we would always go there after practice. I found out after I got drafted that these scouts were like following me to like restaurants
oh,
and to
Jesus.
like my girlfriend's house, my buddy's house. They were following me to all these places just because they're investing, a
Right.
million plus dollars. They want to see if I'm in a gang or if I'm doing something that would be a red flag. So, I didn't know that I was getting watched like that, but I did know that everything I did had consequences for my future,
Hmm.
especially being in the spotlight like that. So, it was just kind of luckily my parents, you know, I wouldn't say raised me right, but they prepared me for that kind of, spotlight. My brother's 4.5 years older than me. He played at the Naval Academy. He played football at the Naval
Oh,
Academy.
wow. Okay. So you went up here by
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, and then my sister, she played volleyball and ended up having stress fractures in her shins. She's 8 years older than me, so she didn't play at the collegiate level, but she could have volleyball. But they wanted her to be a setter, and she was like, "No, I'm an outside hitter. I'm not going to do it." So she ended up quitting. But we've got like athletic genes, so like as with each sibling, the goal got higher and higher. Like my brother wanted to play in college, and I wanted to play at the pro level. So, when it started happening and the Phillies called my name, it was just kind of like, oh, it's like really here. Like I always thought it was going to happen, but when it really happens, it's like that really, it's just a whirlwind. So, like, long story short, you don't really realize it until it's over, type of thing.
Right.
Like I look back, it seems like it was maybe 2 years ago, and it's 20 years now.
Yeah,
Like
no, it's 20. It feels so real, like you said. Like here we are 20 years later,
yeah.
but you were named top player, on that time too, like a top five player down in the Phillies
Hmm.
organization. You were coming up on the ranks. I
Hmm.
mean, to dawn, you did get the call for the show with the
Hmm.
Phillies, but
Hmm.
what was it like to go into the stadium, Philly Stadium, first time as a rookie? Like, how
Yeah.
was that?
Yeah, you try to not be starstruck and like wide-eyed as a rookie, but it's kind of hard not to have those moments. With baseball, it's kind of cool because when you get called up, it's not the first time you're like hanging out with those guys. You see them in spring training, you
Hmm.
see them at certain events that you do with the team. So I had known Ryan Howard beforehand because we had the same agent. And Jimmy Rollins had the previous 2 or 3 years I had gotten to spring training early, and Jimmy had like kind of not taken me under his wing, but he had kind of introduced himself to me and let me know that if I ever needed anything, I could hit him up. And the Phillies were really good at, you know, being open to the rookies. It was
That's cool.
when I was there, I wouldn't say it was like a family because that's like an exaggeration, but they were good dudes in the clubhouse that made you feel welcome.
And that's
You know,
cool to hear.
especially that core of like Jason Worth,
Mhm.
Chase Utley, Ryan Howard, and Jimmy Rollins. You know, they were really good at like knowing that they were the leaders and they had some clout. So, you know, if they talked to a rookie, it made that rookie feel a little bit better.
That's
Uh,
cool.
and you know, like my locker was right next to, so Utley was on the left and Worth was on the right.
Oh wow, so you're in between two big name
Just
superstars
legit,
right
yeah,
there.
like superstars, you know. But it was, you know, like you don't really get a chance to be starstruck because you're trying to stick there, you know. So
Mhm.
like I had to get over that starstruck moment pretty quick, you know. It was like we're pulling up to the stadium. I'm like, okay, this is it. And then like I'm walking in the clubhouse with my bag and stuff, and that's when you kind of are like, okay, I'm here. But I didn't really like have that wide-eyed moment until I got to the Yankees, just because it was at Yankee Stadium.
Well,
Um,
that was gonna be my next question.
yeah, it's you know, it's at new Yankee Stadium. I'm in center field. There was a pitching change, and you know how the left fielder and the right fielder come to center field during a pitching
Yep.
change. While I don't know, I think it was Swisher and Gardner were
Gardner,
walking.
yes.
While Swisher and Gardner were walking towards center field, I just had a kind of a moment by myself with no game to think about, you know, like
Yeah.
pitching change. And that was when I had the moment where I kind of looked around and I saw you know, the arches going
Yes.
around. Like I saw Miguel Tejada he was at bat, but it was just like at that moment when I was like, man, this was my dream,
Hmm.
and I've like realized it. That was the one time that I remembered where I was like, man, I would say I was proud of myself, but Gardner and Swisher got there probably 2 seconds later, so that moment was very fleeting.
But still, to have Swisher and Gardner come to you and actually talk to you during the game,
Yeah,
just to kind of let you know, hey, we're there for you. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I know Nick Swisher was almost like the prankster of the team. He's always, from seeing him and seeing him in interviews, he always seemed to be like that cool guy. Like he would be there for almost anybody to take his shirt off his back too. So I
yeah,
mean,
yeah. I mean, that's kind of how he is. Like naturally, the life of the party. Like he's not doing it to be the life of the party, but that's his personality. He's just got a big personality. He actually offered me to stay with him
that's
uh,
cool.
while I was up. I ended up staying with Granderson just because
Curtis,
Granderson was like my like I wouldn't say like he was my idol, but like I saw him as someone that I wanted to be
right?
as a player. So of course when Granderson offered me to stay with him, I was like, yeah,
Yeah, I'll
please.
take that, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Now, you were traded from Phillies to Texas. Now, I have to ask that question. What was it like being told that you're being traded for power versus speed? Is the from what I
Yeah.
remember reading back in the day.
You know, when I got traded, it was right after we had won the World Series. Like
Oh
I
wow,
was on
okay.
the dog pile, you know, like, and it was maybe 3 or 4 days after the World Series that I got traded to the Rangers. So it was a complete like blindside, you know, like I
Right.
thought I was going to go in and compete the next year for a roster spot. So to get traded, it was kind of bitter, but it was sweet in that I had gotten traded to the Rangers, the team that, you know, I wouldn't say I grew up liking, but they're 2 hours from my hometown, you know.
Yeah, and I
So,
get that. Just because when you're
yeah,
talking baseball, you're talking Texas being predominantly football and not known for their
yeah,
baseball. I understand. You know what I mean? You're talking Dallas,
right,
you're talking Houston Oilers back in the day when you really talk about it. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And that's something Texas is known. Everything's bigger in Texas, but everybody knows it's like a football
yeah.
state.
It's a football state for sure. You know, so, you know, to get traded to the Rangers, it was bittersweet because, you know, I had had all these visions and mindset of like I wanted to be a lifetime Philly. I wanted to get
Mhm.
called up with them. I want like you that's the storybook, you know, career that you envision when you get drafted because
Right.
they're the team that picked you, so they're the ones that believed in you. So to get traded, it's kind of like, oh, so they don't believe in me. And that was the year I had just, I had just played in the futures game that year.
Mhm.
I had just gotten called up that year. We won the World Series. It to me, it was like I'm for sure gonna be at least a fourth outfielder or have a shot to be that next year.
Right.
So to get traded to the Rangers, who were at the time were loaded with outfielders. Um, I mean, Nelson Cruz, Julio Bourbon. They had just drafted. Uh, I forgot his first name, Martin. Uh,
Yes, I remember who it's funny, I can't even think of his first name either. I know who you're
yeah, it's
talking
like
about. I remember
Leonis Martin or something like
something
that.
like that. I think so.
And they had another left-handed hitter, Paul. I forgot his name, but literally they had I think 7 or 8 guys on the 40 man that were AAA to big league level.
Hmm.
So it wasn't like I knew that it wasn't the same. I don't know, you get traded from the team that drafted you. You got nobody that's your sponsor there. Like
Yeah, don't have anybody.
nobody. So, um, but when I got traded over there, Marlon Byrd was there,
Okay.
and he was with the Phillies when I got drafted.
Okay, so at least you had
Yeah,
a
so I had
familiar.
known him, and I think I don't know if he had Larry Reynolds as an agent, but I had met him off the field as well. So when I got over to Texas, he was there, and he actually did take me under his wing and was like, like helping me out and like kind of showing me the ropes and doing whatever to help me. And when I got called up briefly during the year, he did the same. Like I went to Oakland, Chicago, and I think San Francisco, or Seattle, and he made sure that I was, like he was like, "Hey, we're gonna be at the field at this time. Meet down in the lobby at this time. We'll ride the train together or something." So he was really good at, having that veteran leadership role as well.
Mhm.
But you don't really. I'll say it was bittersweet getting traded to the Rangers, but at the same time, like that somebody wants you more than you previously were where you were. Like
Right.
it's bittersweet both ways in that like you find out that the Phillies didn't necessarily like me as much as I thought they did, but at the same time, the Rangers do.
Right. To take advantage of that and
Yeah.
even get called up for nine games or anything is still
Yeah.
it's still amazing. But then you get traded to the Yankees. Now, how did that one go to get called to see you getting
Yeah.
traded to the Yankees?
See, that was to me, that was like that seemed like an obstacle in a
Hmm.
sense, like it took I don't know if it was my agent or somebody that I was working out with to kind of give me a different perspective on how to look at it because they were like, "Man, you're going to a place where you're going to be around some of the best players to ever exist, like yeah, it's going to be a challenge, but like are you up for the challenge?" I just had to change how I saw it, and I ended up having like my best years with the Yankees,
Hmm.
um offensively and just mentally. Just I had to overcome a few things in my career to just kind of take ownership of my career, and I don't think I would have done that had I not been around like Hall of Famers like that. Like seeing how they went about their business and how they were like unapologetically themselves,
Hmm.
and they weren't like jerks about it. They just knew what they needed to do and how to do it,
It's also New
and
York.
they did it well. Yeah, in New York, and that's something that I don't think a lot of people acknowledge that about playing for the Yankees is like actually being in the city of New York changes you as a person.
Hmm. Oh, I
Like
know
you've got to
that
like you gotta and I excuse like it's not PC to say it, but you gotta man up. You gotta like it's your own like you're
you're
out there
you're
by yourself.
you're playing for
Yeah,
probably one of, like I said, maybe six of the most historic teams in the MLB.
in organizations
Because yeah,
in all of sports.
when you hear Yankees, you're thinking Berra, Ruth,
Yeah,
Mantle,
yeah,
to
legends.
legends, Bernie Williams,
Yeah, and my
Matsui.
favorite player at the time was Derek Jeter.
Now, that's what I was going to ask you because there was a picture of
Hmm.
you, and I see A-Rod and Jeter
Hmm.
of you, like you guys were doing stretches, like it was either a pregame or spring training. I have to ask, how was it being next to an A-Rod, a Posada, Jeter, all these guys? What was it like as a player?
Like I imagined when I went in there because they were more compared to '08. when I
Hmm.
got up with the Phillies, a lot of those guys were, I mean, they were established, but they were younger in their careers.
Hmm.
Whereas with the Yankees in 2010 and 11, a lot of those guys were, I wouldn't say on the way down, but they were already superstars. A lot of them had already reached Hall of Fame status.
Yeah.
So going into there, I assumed that they would all just be jerks. They would big league me, not talk to me. And no joke, every single one of them was more amiable and likable and approachable than the other guys with the Phillies. Like
Hmm.
the Phillies, when I left, I realized the Phillies were under a ton of stress. Like you could cut the tension with a knife with the Phillies.
I can only imagine. I can't even
Yeah.
imagine.
But with the Yankees, I wouldn't say there was like a calm, but there was just like a confidence that we were going to win.
Right. What's a
Like
swagger?
yeah, and what's crazy with the Yankees is there was that swagger even in the minor leagues with no Hall of Famers on the roster.
Hmm.
There's just and I see it too. Obviously, I'm not in uniform with the Dodgers, but I see the same aspects with the Dodgers where it's like, you just have a swagger. Like if you're down 7 runs in the eighth, you still feel like you're gonna win.
Right.
You know.
I
So
think.
that was how it kind of was playing with those guys. It was like my level of play had to be elevated because like I'm on the field with all these Hall of Famers. Like you gotta do something to stand out.
And then I got to ask this question. You got a chance to play at the stadium, of course.
Hmm.
When you got the chance to go out there and play, and you heard roll call, you heard your name. How awesome of a feeling was that?
That was cool. The very first time I did roll call, it was I was Swisher was a late scratch
Okay.
because he couldn't I forgot what it was, but I think the rest of the team wanted to like kind of like prod him a little bit, give him a few jeers. So they told me that when the bleacher creatures do the roll call to do the Swisher salute.
Okay.
And I had to do it like exactly like them. So they went around the infield, and you know how when they do the infield, all the infielders, they're so nonchalant. They just
Yeah,
kind
they're
of
like,
point
yeah,
and
they
nothing.
do. Jeter does his little flip,
Yeah.
his baseball flip, and A
Yeah.
Rod's like, yeah, I got you over there. You know what I
So
mean?
so when I'm playing right field and they get to they get to me and they start doing the Greg Golson or
Yeah,
whatever, and the pitcher, I forget who was on the mound. I think it was Phil Hughes. Hughes throws a pitch and the guy fouls it off. So I can't address them
you
because
can't
it's
address the salute because yeah, you
yeah.
gotta you're gonna
So
mess that up.
yeah, so they start chanting it again, and I think there was another foul ball. There was something happened where they were just chanting my name for like 4 pitches or something. So finally, the catcher catches the ball. So I turn around and do like the
The
swisher
salute.
salute. And when I turn back around, the entire infield is just staring at me, like laughing, because they were just waiting for me to do the salute too. So that was cool. When I got my own opportunity to do my own, um, like I don't know, I did my own bleacher roll call thing. I basically just did tip my cap, and here's the picture of it. It's probably one of my favorite pictures.
That's awesome. I love that. That is the
Yeah,
coolest picture you could ever have, man. I saw that on your
yeah.
Instagram, and to
It's my
see.
favorite picture because it's 27 is my favorite number. Like I wouldn't say I pride myself, but as a ball player, I didn't want to be flashy.
Mhm.
So like the tipping my cap, and I remember Michael K even said I rewatched it, and Michael K was like Greg Golson with the classy tip of the cap, and I was like, it's
But still,
exactly what I was going for.
that's the coolest thing to do. You know what I mean? To to walk down those halls too. I can only
Mhm.
imagine. Like you could probably hear those walls speak, even though it's the new
Yeah,
stadium. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Even though it's the new stadium, it doesn't matter. You know
yeah.
what I mean? The history of Yankee Stadium. I mean, I get chills even talking about it
Yeah. I
to this.
mean, what's crazy with the Yankees is all of the legends and the greats are always around.
Oh
Like
wow.
Reggie's always there.
Yep.
Goose Gossage is always there. Gator's always there. Like so many greats are just walking around. I saw Yogi Berra
Hmm.
like the second day that I was there, and I was like, he looks exactly like
And
He
himself.
looks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how to explain it, but there's no mistaking when you see him.
Yep. I actually got to it's kind of funny you say that. I got to meet Yogi one time, and that was by dumb luck because I worked for a company that was delivering the paint to his house.
Mm.
So I'm like, I look, I go, this house looks way too familiar. And my guy goes, "What do you mean?" I go, "Dude, I think this is Yogi Berra's house." Like, no, it ain't. We look in, you see him walking out there. I'm like, "Yep, that's Yogi."
That's him.
So it's like those amazing things. Like for me, I was just like, duh,
Yeah,
but as now as a podcaster, I've had my opportunities to actually talk to
yeah.
Leonard Marshall. For me,
Mm,
it's one of my highlights because I'm a big New York Giants fan, you know what I mean?
yeah,
So to talk to Leonard Marshall is like one of those cool things for me because I played football. I played
yeah.
baseball for quite a while. Growing up, I stopped in high school because I was getting bigger and bigger, and
Mhm.
I was more offensive lineman than I was a catcher. So and right field was not the position for me.
Yeah,
So I retired from baseball at a young age of high school. Then I went to track and field because I had to make sure I kept in shape
makes sense.
at those times. But you know, they retired. You're also 2015. Your old high school retired
Yeah.
your jersey. Now, how was that too? Like these you had some incredible moments. First of all, 2008, you guys got to win the World Series with the Phillies.
Hmm.
Um, you unfortunately get traded to the Rangers. You get traded to the Yankees, which is still hopping career right there.
Hmm.
But also, when your old high school says we're gonna retire your number,
Yeah.
what was that feeling for you like?
I mean, it was awesome. I one of the cooler like secondary aspects of that is it was like right I mean, I had just met my wife.
Oh, okay.
So they're retiring my number. That definitely made me look really cool. Because that was probably a couple months after we had met, and I was like, "Oh, I just got to go down to Austin. My jersey's getting retired." She's like, "What?" But outside of that, I've been back a couple times and driven by there because my parents live right by the school,
Okay.
and seeing my number, right there, like it's a main entrance. Like the baseball field is, there's two entrances to the school, and the baseball field is along one side of them. So like anyone, like half the people that get to the school, they see that number like every day. So
Hmm.
that's really cool knowing that, and knowing that like no one can wear that number ever again. Like I definitely want to do something to like show my appreciation for it. Maybe later on down the road when I'm a gazillionaire, I'll donate some money or something. But the
Right.
idea that they wanted to commemorate me like that is such an honor. One of the bigger things that I'm proud of in my life.
And that's really cool here. I mean, for me, my unfortunately my dad passed away a long, long time ago. And
Hmm.
my dad was very dedicated to the old high school football team.
Hmm.
When he passed, he left a little money for them. So every year we donated under his name. And after
Hmm.
like 6 years, they actually did a nice commemorative plaque for him inside the football team's field in
Nice,
the locker room.
nice.
So that you know, I said to my coach, I don't care if I make it to the Hall of Fame or not, but to see that plaque in this locker room every time I come here,
Yeah,
that I put a tear to my eye because it's like my Hall of Fame name in there. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, for sure,
And
for
even though it's
sure.
my dad's name, but I carry that last name proudly.
Yeah,
And to know that he's up there, I'm so proud of that. Even
yeah,
and even my dad probably smiles down, and looks at me, and laughs at me,
yeah.
going, "I told you your name was going to get up there one day." You know.
Yeah, I mean it's true. Like you play team sports for your whole life, and it's such a constant that nobody's bigger than the game, and it's team first, team first. So to get actual individual recognition that can't get taken away, it's big.
It
It's
is big.
really big.
So you get now, you retire from the game
Hmm.
and you have an opportunity to go to work for the Dodgers. Like, how did that come about? Like, as a
Well,
scout.
well, I had initially I had applied to be a hitting coach, but the team that I had applied for to be a hitting coach, well, one, it doesn't exist anymore
Okay.
because of contraction. but also there was quite a bit of Spanish speaking prospects on those teams,
Hmm.
and they had asked me if I spoke fluent Spanish, and I was like, well, I played in Mexico for 3 years, and I can speak Spanish, but it's not fluent. Like the more nuanced aspects when I'm trying to explain something to a hitter, I would be at a disadvantage, I think, trying to talk to a Latin speaking or Spanish speaking player when I can't like get the actual word that I need to. So
Right.
they were like, yeah, we actually probably need someone that's a little bit more fluent, but you should try this job. We actually think it's, better suited for you. So I applied, and I think what helped me was, scouting is, excuse me,
No
scouting,
problem.
you're very much like a spy.
Yeah.
You get as much information you can on whatever your coverage is. So I think what helped me was having played for 17 years
Hmm.
with so many different teams. I had met so many people that were working with the Dodgers already, whether I played against them, I had played with them, I worked out with them. So my boss, the guy that hired me, basically was like, typically we don't hire guys without seeing them and talking to them in person, but you know so many people in the organization already that we got multiple recommendations that you'd be a good hire. So I think the my network helped me get this job,
Hmm.
and I really, really like writing.
Okay.
So, that kind of goes hand in hand with reports. You got to be able to write. So, I ended up really liking it. Like, I asked a few people, like, that were scouts or who had been scouts, what they thought about the lifestyle. And they were all like, man, it's a lot of writing. And that was the main drawback that I had gotten from everyone. Oh, it's
A
a
lot
lot
of
of writing.
right.
And I was like, well, I love to write. So
As long as
I
you
didn't
love to
mind it.
write, that's like the greatest thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's the coolest job. I like for me, I speak fluent Spanish, so for me to go travel to Mexico or Venezuela or Puerto Rico to
Hmm.
scout baseball players would be like a dream
Yeah.
job. Even
Yeah, you're getting paid for your opinion. And yeah, you have to, like, I have to back up my opinion with justification and metrics and
Mhm.
sometimes statistics. But, you know, there's a lot of me coming through in the report still. You can get anyone to just look at someone's stat line and make a
Mhm.
projection, but there, a lot of the skills that I'm drawing on stuff that I used as a player.
Right.
So it's like, it's cool that I get to, like, I don't have to do, or I don't have to go into any training or learn a new skill
Mhm.
to, because I for a while earlier in my career I was like, oh, I'm not a baseball player, I play baseball. And later on in my career I was like, no, I'm a baseball player. Like,
Yeah.
this is what I do,
You're
like, I'm a baseball
legit.
guy.
You're an
Yeah,
MLB player.
I'm like a baseball guy. Like,
Yeah.
it's been my life work, really. So to not have to do any training and use the same skill set in the job that I'm at, and I enjoy it. I get to travel, and I have a little bit of freedom. We just had we have an 8 month old right now, so like having the flexibility is awesome.
And I hope the baby's sleeping.
Yeah, well, my wife's uh she's a little loud during this time of day, so my wife's got her upstairs.
I got both of my munchkins upstairs. I have a
Yeah.
7-year-old daughter and a 3-year-old son.
Oh, nice.
So I know how it is. Trust me, I'm a father of two. It's never easy.
No, not easy.
Wait until they get older and wait till traveling. So
Oh yeah, I bet. Yeah, right now we can like put her somewhere and we know she's gonna stay there,
yes.
but that's rapidly coming to an
Yes, trust me, I've learned already. I'm learning as I'm going as a father,
end.
especially with a daughter. So
Yeah, I imagine.
it's fun. It has its great times, it has its bad times, but my son too. It's like, where you going? No, no, don't go there. Don't throw the football.
Yeah,
Don't. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah.
but family life is the greatest thing ever. You know what I mean? I'm lucky to have a wife that pushed me into this podcasting
Mhm.
career because I didn't know what to do with myself. So,
Yeah.
I'm blessed. I mean, for me, it definitely football was my way, my sanctum, like you said. Um, I didn't get a chance to play college ball because I hurt my knee.
Hmm.
So I took an opportunity. My coach goes, "Hey, if you want to help us out with the freshman team, I'm like, well, it's an opportunity, yeah." He
Hmm.
goes, and we'd like you to go scout the next games the
Oh,
Saturday
nice.
we play. I said, yeah, I got a video camera. I could break down film. And I literally would sit there, right, like you said,
Hmm.
the tendencies, the formations. I would
Yeah.
draw it up, and then I go home before I go out and hang out with my friends. I would go home, look at the videos again. How many times did they run this play at first down, second down,
Hmm.
third? And when I come in Monday morning with the tape and the scouting reports are like this. He goes, you have 52. I go 52 pages, everything you need to know. I have a state championship ring in 2006. I
Hmm.
followed one team, followed all their tendencies, and when it came to the championship game, we won.
That's awesome.
So for
That's awesome.
me, didn't know I was going to get a ring.
Hmm.
To get a state championship ring as a coach, was the greatest feeling. Like, I know it's got to be the greatest feeling when you're receiving a World Series ring.
Yeah, I mean, it's we were on the Rays. It's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
We got put on the Rays pretty early in the playoffs. We initially got put on the Reds, me and the guy that my partner that I was working with.
Mhm.
We had initially got put on the Reds and they got swept. So they put us on the Rays immediately, and no, and both of us realizing that that's an American League team, we realized the only way we would play them is if that's in the World Series. So, it was really cool to just kind of follow them for basically 2.5, 3 weeks.
I
And we
can't.
had, I mean, I felt like I knew them like the back of my hand because, like when I was playing, if I played in a 4 game series against a team, by the fourth game, I knew them really,
Mhm.
really well. And occasionally we would play 5 game series. And if you played in a 5 game series by the fifth game, you were tired of everybody. You knew them so well that they were like their personalities would piss you off.
Yeah.
So to watch a team for 3 weeks, like I felt like I intimately knew every single one of them.
Mhm.
So to get a ring for that, hold on 1 second.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, yeah, sorry about that.
No, no worries.
To get a ring, like as a coach, like you said, it's you know, when you're a player, you know how hard it is to get a ring, to get to the championship.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then to get a ring, you're like, man, and you realize so many guys don't get one. And then to think that you missed your opportunity to get a ring and then to get one as a coach or a scout, that's where it's like, man, this game is crazy because you can still contribute. And I feel like you almost put more mental capacity and mental power into the scouting reports than you did when you were playing
Hmm.
because you know that this is as far as it goes is what can I give the players that's going to
Right.
help, you know? So you pour everything you can into it. And I really like that aspect of scouting, the advanced scouting, where you're just trying to get to know an opponent.
And that's the one thing I cherished. As a player, don't get me wrong, players, no matter if you're MLB, NHL, MLS, NBA, NFL, as a player to get a ring is the hardest thing. But it goes down to coaching.
Yeah.
I think when you're together, and you would know the best too now as a scout, it starts from the scout team to the prep team to the doesn't matter where you are, but to help the coaches to the defense, the offense, to baseball practice, everything. It all
Hmm.
starts with those guys.
Yeah.
And I think no matter who you are, when you're not expecting something and you get something like that,
Yeah.
it's I mean, I remember I'll never forget the day I got my ring. I actually was like teary eyed because I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they were always asking me, "Oh, what ring size are you?" I'm like, "I'm a 14." Why are you
Right.
asking? I
Yeah.
wasn't even thinking about that. You know what I mean? It just was
Yeah.
not in my mind.
Hmm.
But
Do you wear it?
I wear it sometimes when I meet up with some of
Yeah.
my old teammates and some of the coaches. I do
Yeah.
have the tendency to take the ring out. I did wear it during my wedding day. I had to switch that ring off my wedding ring finger into this finger, so it was a little different for me.
Yeah.
I did have that. I did take it off right away after the wedding because it was more symbolic wearing my wedding ring. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
that I didn't want the wife to divorce me right there after 30 minutes of marriage. But I still see it. It's right, but it's like right next to a lot of my autographs of NFL. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
for me, it's just a one of those treasures that I earned
Yeah.
as a coach, as a scouter like you,
Hmm.
as a prep guy, as a coach to the freshman team, and then their juniors and seniors that won that ring, to
Hmm.
see them and to rush the field with them with the pass that I had, it
Yeah.
was the ultimate feeling. I mean, uh, I, like you, I don't know the right words to describe where I was at.
There's no way to describe it. It's just yeah, you can
Eh,
tell in your face. Like you can just it's a
yeah,
difference, you
and
know.
still to this day, I mean, don't get me wrong, I got my replica ring of my New York Rangers and
Hmm.
the fourth Super Bowl of the New York Giants, but to knowing that one ring stands between those two, and to say I got that ring, earning
Yeah,
it, it's the greatest feeling in the whole wide world. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
for
So,
sure.
you know, um, it's one of those things, like you say, you treasure yours.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And let me ask you this: do you wear your LA ring
A hundred
sometimes?
percent all the time.
Oh, okay.
Hold on, I'm gonna get it right
Oh,
now.
okay. Doesn't hurt to ask that question.
Yeah. So yeah,
Oh wow, look at
I
that!
always say like if they didn't want me to wear it, they shouldn't have made it wearable.
Wow, look at that thing. That is a beautiful ring.
What's cool is the inside. It has like the
Look,
score.
oh yeah, there it is. I see it. And I love the LA inscription in there too.
Yeah. But
That's
yeah,
got.
this it's really cool because this sapphires are my birthstone.
Oh, okay, there we go.
Yeah.
So that's,
But yeah, this is just one of the coolest things, like especially like during 2020, the year of 2020 in itself
yeah.
was wild. Like I got married,
Mhm.
I got a new job,
Yep.
like won a World Series, the quarantine, COVID, like
Yep. All that stuff happened.
2020. So to win a World Series then that year, it just adds to like as you said, like there's no way to describe it. It's just like it's just something that happened that I
Yeah,
can't
and
really like
just like you said, you saw it on my face. I see it in your face too.
yeah,
So to see that beautiful ring, I gotta thank you for showing me that, because that I got chills wearing the hat right
yeah,
now,
the hat,
seeing
yeah,
it, and I got the chills in the back of my neck seeing that ring. I'm like, wow, like
yeah.
you just made the highlight of the show. That I just the highlight right now, but highlight is definitely talking to you too, Greg. I mean,
Mhm,
everyone, like you said, describes MLB players like, they're snap. No, they're real people just like
right.
me.
Mhm.
Sometimes you got to peel. There was a great expression in the movie The Blind Side. A lot of players are like an onion. You got to peel them layer by layer.
Yeah, it's
You know what I
true.
mean? And Greg, your story, growing up in Texas, getting drafted by the Phillies, going to Texas, going to the Yankees, and then a couple more other major league teams along the way, and to end up, like you said, with the LA Dodgers.
Yeah.
It's like, and being in a World Series championship with the team. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? That's a fairy tale story right there in its own. And I gotta say, my friend, that's probably the best story I've had here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As your my very first MLB player. But I mean, that's such a cool story, man. And I can't thank you enough for coming on today.
Hmm.
Um, I really appreciate you. Um, you know, uh, I can't say nothing but good works, but good luck this year. I
I
hope,
appreciate it, Alex.
I really hope the Dodgers do it again. Um, I would love to see a Yankee Dodger, but the way the Yankees are slumping right now, they're probably not going to like me now for saying that. But
Hey, Dodgers too, though. Dodgers are slumping too.
a
It's
little
that time of
bit,
year.
it's the summer blues, as I call it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, but all of a sudden they're going to crank it up, both teams. I have a feeling. So I
For
mean,
sure.
there's a lot of great teams. When you look at the playoffs already, it's almost end of July, we're mid July. You're talking what's tonight? The All-Star games are
Yeah.
happening. You know what I mean? So there's going to be a lot of things going on, and as soon as the All-Star break is over, it's game time for
It's game time. Yeah, I
it.
know. I know there's gonna be a dark horse team that comes out of nowhere and is like unbeatable, like the Phillies were. The Phillies
Yep.
will probably cool off. Like this is a long season, man. I know like the Dodger fan base is really panicking about the last stretch that we were on. I think we were 23-24 the
The
last
Yankees are
50 some
nine,
games or
yeah,
so.
9-18
Yeah.
or something like that. It's just,
But
but
like, they're a lot of these teams are gonna make moves at the deadline,
yeah,
like other teams are gonna fizzle out. Like, are is Cleveland legit? Like,
right.
there's so many different things that will get weeded out by the time August gets here.
Mhm.
It's just like every baseball season. It's gonna be what happens.
Well, I'll say we can't wait to see what happens this season. I'm definitely going to be releasing the show really soon, just so you know, so we can get that going out.
Okay.
Especially probably going to go right after in the next week or two. I'm going to have this released for you.
Okay.
Um, you know, uh, Definitely, I have to thank you again for coming on. Thank you
My
for
pleasure.
showing us a piece of LA Dodger history with the
Mhm.
beautiful ring that you have. Again, thank you for coming on, Greg. Your story was amazing. I hope to get to hear from you again. You know, um, Definitely want to keep in touch with you.
For sure.
Just amazing things, guys. And here it is, right here in front of me. He's living the dream. He's got the ring. He's got everything, man. He worked hard
Appreciate it, man.
for it. And Greg, thank you for coming on. And as I usually say, I end my show is nothing but love, peace, and happiness, everyone. Good night.
Hey, thanks, man. Appreciate it.